the house that breathed. The house had always felt wrong, but on that stormy night, it seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Emily Harper, a pragmatic woman in her 30s, had bought the old Victorian fixer-upper on a quiet street in suburban Ohio, hoping for a fresh start after her divorce. But from the first night, the house whispered to her, soft creaks in the floorboards, drafts that chilled her bones, and shadows that stretched too long in the corners. She told herself it was just the stress of moving, the echoes of an empty home. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. It started with the music box. Emily found it tucked away in the attic, a delicate antique with faded floral patterns. She wound it up, expecting a tinkling lullaby, but the melody was off, discordant, like a song played backward. She removed the batteries, but later that night, it began to play on its own, the eerie tune drifting through the halls. Emily's heart raced as she followed the sound, only to find the music box silent and still in the attic. She chalked it up to exhaustion, but the whispers began soon after, soft, indistinct murmurs that seemed to call her name in the dead of night. Sleep became a battle. One evening, after binge-watching The Haunting of Hill House to distract herself, Emily awoke paralyzed, her body heavy as stone. A shadow loomed at the foot of her bed, its form indistinct but undeniably there. She tried to scream, but her voice was trapped. The figure leaned closer, and she swore she felt its breath, cold and damp, against her cheek. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished, leaving her gasping and drenched in sweat. Desperate for answers, Emily dug into the house's history. At the local library, she unearthed yellowed newspaper clippings about the previous owner, a reclusive man named Arthur Graves, who had vanished without a trace in the late 90s. The headline screamed, "Local man disappears! Police baffled!" But the articles offered no closure. Back home, she scoured the attic and found a hidden compartment behind a loose panel. Inside was a leather-bound diary, its pages brittle and stained. Arthur's shaky handwriting filled the entries, detailing his growing paranoia. "The house watches me. It knows my fears. I hear it in the walls, scratching, waiting." Emily's stomach churned. The final entry was a single line. "It's here." That night the whispers returned, louder and more insistent, as if the house itself was speaking. Emily's skepticism crumbled. She needed to act. Armed with a book on the occult she'd ordered online, she gathered candles, salt, and a bundle of sage. Anything to banish whatever haunted her home. In the dim glow of the living room, she began the ritual, her voice trembling as she recited the incantation. The air thickened, and the temperature plummeted. The candles flickered wildly, casting twisted shadows that danced across